Hello, it's 4:30, and I am so grateful and glad that you made it to this part of the day, and I am grateful and glad that you made it to this part of your life. So I posted or put a prompt on my Facebook page that said, "What shall we lay on the table today?" There's a couple of comical ones, and someone had put up, uh, "How do we deal with greed and systemic greed?" So I'm gonna jump right into it. Wow. So a lot of things dealing with concepts, dealing with processes. Whew, jumping into it, and this is once again, I can. There's you don't see any plaques and posters on the wall of things. This is from living and experiencing and traveling and talking and sharing and also accepting information as it comes. We as humans are made up of a lot of different characters. We we have so many different psychological characters, and we can start to name them. And everybody, so there's a thing you can do. You can check out some parts based psychology. You can also check on the different archetypical characters. But we all have are made up of characters, and you can recognize them in others, and you can also recognize them in yourself. You'll recognize the teacher when you want to pass on the information. You recognize the student, the opposite of that. You'll recognize the parent, the child. You'll recognize the authority, and sometimes that authority comes in many different forms, whether it's militaristic authority, where there's tyrannical authority. There's so many different characters that we all have, that we all can make. As an actor, this stepping into that was a lot of the work that I did. If I hadn't found the theater, I would have possibly gone crazy, because through the theater, through playing different roles, I got to give focus, put life into some of those characters that I wouldn't do put to life in my normal sense. And in that space of the theater, in that space of working through a character and trying to understand how they work, I had to run that through the filter of me. What would I do if I was a murderer? What would I do if I was a thug? How would I be as someone strung out? And in experiencing that and in exploring that, I started to recognize the characters that I could play and the characters that were me, and even to some of the ones that didn't feel like me. Then, of course, start to hand out or deal with traumas in life, and you deal with someone and you go, "Oh, that person's narcissistic, or that person is this, or that person is that, bipolar, borderline, whatever." And what I start to discover is that a person can be that thing when they are shifted to one focus, a one character, and only that, and don't lay into all the other parts. So I do stand-up comedy, and yet the stand-up comic isn't the same guy who has to deal with the kids at night. The stand-up comic isn't the same guy who runs a summer camp in the summer. The stand-up comic isn't the same guy who sits here and studies uh, the online learning stuff. And understanding that there are times when we switch that dial to of what character we're going to be, what character we're going to portray. Now, the other part of that is knowing those characters, and many of us have played with them. Many of us toyed with the dial and tried this thing out here or that part, that character, the thug or the suave or the smooth or the which one of those folks. Some of those don't ring true. Some of those don't feel great. Some of those are not who we need to be. And each of us is on a journey. So, how do we deal with greed? We can accept it. That's an option. We can accept that this is my path, and that doesn't really feel great to me. The greed, the gluttony, it doesn't feel great to me. Do I need to change someone else who's on a path where they need to experience that? That's crazy. Down, here we go. They need to experience that. They're in their process of learning what that is. And some people may thrive in that space and yet, or appear to thrive. Because I guarantee you, if you're living in one sector, one character realm of your being, then the vast majority of who you are is undernourished, is underloved, is fighting for representation. We may not see that externally, and we do see it sometimes externally and not know what we're seeing is the turmoil or the fight within. How do we handle greed? Don't be greedy. If it doesn't ring for you, then don't do it. Would you do anything else that you were not feeling in the zone of? Were you not feeling this is who I am? No, you wouldn't. So how do we handle the person who is greedy? We show up as ourselves. We show up where you're in your zone and you're in your space. And if that person is struggling with all the other characters trying to fight with the greedy character that they're being and portraying and living, they might look at you and go, where do you come up with so much comfort? You don't have what I have, but you look comfortable. How do I get that? And in that opening, you may be able to pass along some information. If you try to school them and they don't look at you as a teacher, they don't see you as the teacher, then you're not going to do anything. You're just going to be jump up in their face. And that goes with anything. If that goes for, if you've ever tried to speak to a younger, one of our youngers, when they're doing something that's absolutely foolish, and you know, because you may have done it yourself, and you go, hey, you shouldn't do that. Probably want to stop doing that. They go, oh, you don't know anything, old man. You don't know what you're talking about. And which they're not ready to be schooled. They're looking for the school of hard knocks. They're looking for the school of life. So I can be there when it happens and say, hey, would you like some information on how that happened? Where you got that cut on your leg, or where you fell out in the street, or would you like some information on how that happened? Because you can help someone when they ask for the help. You can't help them if they don't. If you are trying to help someone who hasn't asked for help, if you are trying to help someone who doesn't know they need help, you're just in the way. You're blocking their path. You are another problem, just like the inner turmoil of all those other voices of themselves trying to deal with the greedy one, the stingy one, the selfish one, whatever one is being predominant in their lives and whatever choices they're making to feed that character. There's the parable of the two wolves, and they're fighting for survival. The wolf of whether it is fear, and the wolf of love and compassion. And which wolf wins? Which wolf survives? The one you feed. The one you feed is the one that's going to keep coming back for more food. And the other one will, at the point where it's about to die of starvation, will struggle like crazy to survive. Will reach out and say, feed me. Oftentimes in that space, we hit the dark night of the soul, where we have to do something different. How do we handle anyone who is obsessively anything? We handle it lovingly. We handle it lovingly. The first thing is, and also I think one of the other issues that happens, no, you can't be calling me. My brother's trying to call. Sorry about that. You can't be calling me right now. One of the other things in dealing with that and understanding that is that a lot of times what we see in others that drives us nuts is what we don't like in ourselves. So when you lovingly are in that space, to be in that space with someone, you have to first love yourself. And you have to love your, and remember, and what I talk to my kids about is when you speak, let it pass through 3 gates before it leaves your mouth. Is it necessary? Is it kind? And what's the third gate? Anybody know what that third gate is? Necessary, kind, and helpful. It might be helpful and not necessary or not kind. It might be kind but not helpful or necessary. And so does it pass through those 3 gates? And at one point we had 4 gates because there was a lot of crazy going on. And really it just changed the way we spoke to each other. And when we would, and my kids would say to me, "Hey, did that one go through 3 gates, Dad?" And I would have to go, I apologize for that. Forgive me. It got through 2 of them and it ran around the third one. It let me know that I could do better. We still do this every once in a while with each other. How about the gates, folks? How about the gates? We talk about that because that's when we love ourselves. When we put up those gates to love ourselves, it's not about show and tell for the world. The world will judge you for whatever. And a lot of I've heard more times than you want to know that I'm being holier than thou because I'm sticking to what makes me work, when loving me looks like and what loving me sounds like. And it's not about being holier than thou because the judgment is not on you. The judgment is on me. I'm judging myself with my words, my actions, my deeds. And I have to be able to, as the judge and the jury, have to constantly say, I approve of that, or, whew, you don't need to be here right now. Let's keep on going. Okay. Judging each of those situations. Okay. We are 11 minutes and 12 minutes in, and my brother tried to call, which I have to call him back after this. Balance. And I really should have come up with a poem right now on balance. That was the last thing that I did not need to do. So we're going to go with divine intervention here and know that the poem is picked for us. Just went through Sacred and Sacrosanct, and the poem that I'm reading today is called Boundary. Halfway, neither fully here nor fully there, in a space where the absence of things is oppressive and confining at once. Color has contracted. To hide? To return? To renew? In the space between what is real, what is other? Can I trust what I think? In the thinking, I will create that which is. Is there a moment, just as the runner breaks the tape, where I cross over from here to now here? Remove the space from thinking, and now here becomes nowhere. Not quite halfway, not quite here, not quite there. I shout in my face, yet what I hear is the reverberation of what I said, not truly the word flung from my mouth to the chorus of all that have heard vibrating with its essence. If this is a circle, then halfway is the sweet spot, the place within the all, and any forward movement takes me closer to being without. It is time to stop the silly questions. It is time to repurpose doubt. The silly smile appears when the realization of rhyme is heard. Seriously considering halfway is to seriously forget levity. I sit, I revel in the here, I revel in the hearing. I will never be halfway until I know when the end is nearing. Halfway. When's the halfway point of life? You only will know that once you've gotten to the end. What's the halfway point to anything? It's a theoretical point. How do we find a balance? We live it. We accept the challenges. We become tolerant of our own misgivings and our own mistakes. We remove the judge. We remove the jury. We look at the issues, we look at the things, and we learn to, as I said yesterday, we learn to respond, not just react. And we also learn to take risk in stepping forward or in standing still. It's a crazy journey, and there are no instructions for each of our individual journeys. There's a wonderful short story by Andy Weir called The Egg. Look it up. It's a short story. It's online. You can find it. Andy Weir. He's the author of The Martian, which was a big film with Matt Damon. But The Egg, and in that I just love the concept of it. And I won't spoil it. Just read it, and it deals with our characters and our choices and our experiences. And it's a wonderful opinion concept, figuring of life. Life as not just this life, but life as a whole. Alrighty, I will let you go with your day. Thank you for joining me here today. I appreciate that we can meet like this each day, and I will be here every day, 4:30, until things change. Until we meet again. Stay safe, stay home, be well, stay sane. Move forward with passion and purpose, and remember that you are enough. Have a great day.